And ideas. You've just crossed over into the Twilight Zone.
And we're back. We are back to series 1 now, Jay, once again. So these are the first episodes ever of the Twilight Zone. These are the episodes that set the vocabulary, set the way in which the rest of the series would be made and viewed by the public. And this episode kind of has everything that you would want from something, setting the tone from where we'd go from there. It's written by Serling. It's adapted from a Richard Matheson short story, who, of course, will become a writer for the show in the future. It's directed by Richard L. Baer, who made a lot of the show's most famous episodes, including Nick of Time and To Serve Man and The Purple Testament, which is not one of the more known ones, but is one of the better ones, is an episode I've always enjoyed. And it's got that sci-fi element. It's got that sci-fi twist. As a matter of fact, it's got a twist that the show will use a few times, sometimes in reverse, sometimes not.
Pretty iconic twist.
Pretty iconic twist. Did you know the twist heading into this from the name?
No, because I'm
Third from the Sun. No, because you did. Don't be so hard on yourself.
I mean, I don't know what I was on when I watched it like 3 years ago, but I should have realized from either the title or when he started talking about another planet with people just like us.
Just like us. Has the TV series with John Lithgow, Third Rock from the Sun, done this episode exponential damage?
I have no idea.
I just mean in the sense of now people know that it's the Third Rock from the Sun.
Oh, right. I mean, probably, yeah.
I don't know. I've never watched that show. This is what I wrote when it was in when it was in the rankings. Following two families as they drastically plan to steal a spaceship, with the two fathers played with great fear and caution by Joe Morose and Fritz Weaver, holding the knowledge that then the world soon will be destroyed. Serling's only major change from the Matheson original short story is the addition of the villainous Carling, played with a firm tongue in his cheek by Edward Andrews, who adds a constant dread and suspense to the episode that really keeps up the tension throughout. The title for the episode is an odd giveaway for the episode's ending, but only I feel if you know the title and know the ending. This is a classic twist and a great build-up to it. The concurrent theme in this series is humanoid aliens, and although this may have been down to budgetary restraints, it does add an angle to the proceedings that give us many excellent episodes and give us this episode's great twist.
No, when the xenomorphs show up.
Yes. Opening question. I don't think this is the case. Can the argument be made that this is an episode building up to a twist and the episode itself is subpar?
No.
No, I don't think so.
For big reasons, I think, contextually, about the fact that it was written in the 60s.
Mm.
I think it really much very well captures the nuclear paranoia of like.
I'll spoil a comment. Like, I was listening to the audio commentary with Mark Scott Zickery of the Twilight Zone Companion, and he was with Marv Waldman, who I think who was writes for TV, and they were talking about the irony of the ending, in that they think that Earth is this golden place, and if they are going to Earth in 1963. They're throwing themselves immediately into the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
which is a very Twilight Zone twist.
Yeah, in a way.
And without the fact that they're going to Earth, it's just the fact that they've gone out of one problem to another problem that's the exact same.
You can see, if they maybe had a little bit more time and Serling wanted to be even darker, he would make that explicit. He would make that subtext text, and maybe not even make it Earth, but make it a different planet, and they're worse, if not, just as bad. Serling's opening narration: quitting time at the plant, time for supper now, time for families, time for a cool drink on a porch, time for the quiet rustle of leaf-laden trees that screen out at the moon. And underneath it all, behind the eyes of the men, hanging invisible over the summer night, is a horror without words. for this is the stillness before storm. This is the eve of the end. And he talks about in the silence how their opening narration didn't really add much of anything. This, on the other hand, is beautiful, perfect, prose-like.
Prose.
Yeah.
It's just completely sets the atmosphere for the entire thing.
And so this episode was not shot by George C. Clemens, who shot the majority of the Twilight Zone episodes. It was actually shot by Harry Wilde, with Richard Baer, the director, using a lot of different lenses to give a more cinematic look and helping the cinematography a lot himself. And this episode does feel slightly different. Now, you can put that down to either a directorial choice of wanting it to feel like another planet, even if we don't know yet that we are on another planet. You can put it down to just creative paranoia-based cinematography. The episode uses an abundance Dutch angles and Dutch tilts, and puts everything on an angle, puts everything on a slant. That really does just add this beautiful paranoia, unease, and tension to the whole thing.
Makes it feel like an alien planet.
It does. Richard Baer said that Serling said to him at a party that this was one of his favorites. As we continue with this podcast miniseries, we find hearing that story a lot. Either he told his daughter that it was one of his favorites, or he told the director, or he told the actor. I have no idea anymore what Serling's actual favorite episodes are. I want to say it's Walking Distance, because he did also say that that's one of his favorites.
Right.
But who knows? Opening scene, everybody leaving this plant, this war plant. And, you know, the security guard, chemical warfare, germ warfare research, and the immediate world building of a world on the brink of war, in the midst of a war, or dealing with the aftermath of a war. Either way, something is desperately wrong on this planet. And again, at this stage, we think it's Earth in the not too distant future. And so, what was your first thinking? Are you seeing this 10 years in the future? Are you seeing it as the natural succession of the Cuban Missile Crisis, or are you seeing it far flung in the future? What was your initial grasp of what this episode was trying to do in its beginning?
Well, I think more of from the perspective of making it, I think they saw it as a very possible future that could happen tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the great Mad Men Series 2 episode, Mediations in Emergency, I mean, none of them knew whether they were going to die tomorrow. And you can very easily transplant the conversation that they have with Carling about, oh, yeah, we're going to play cards next week. You plan ahead a week. You know, a lot can happen in a week. You can immediately swap that dialogue with, you know, what Don says when he's leaving the meeting with Duck at the end of series 2, and he says, you know, if we're all still here after the weekend, then we'll talk. They had no, you know, belief, concept. It could have all blown up. And that is the world that Third from the Sun and Serling in his writing perfectly builds. Apart from, there is the crux of this episode, which is that Fritz Weaver and Joe Moros have got together. Joe Moros as this pilot and Fritz Weaver as this scientist. They've got together and they've hatched a plan to not get everybody out, but to get their families out. And so you're not only dealing with you're not only dealing with the moral dilemma of, are you leaving a planet that's actually not in danger and this will blow over, or are you quite literally going to be the only survivors of an entire planet's destruction? Are you going to leave everybody else to die? And they can't tell the daughter for fear that she'll run and tell a boyfriend or run and tell anybody. And so they say that they've been planning it for months. At what stage do you think they decided for certain, oh no, this is the only chance, this is the only choice?
I mean, I think it's obviously off screen, and
Mm.
I don't know. I think if it was months in advance, I don't know if it would be months, like believably.
Mm.
I mean, I think you can always have that option in the back of your head, but I think for me, I view it that it was a decision they came to maybe 3 months before.
Yeah.
Um, because it is a very big choice, and I think they would have to be certain that things are definitely going to go downhill.
Is this episode missing a capper of? I mean, this is talking big budget, and it's not a budget that they really had at this time. Even though this episode looks phenomenal, and they were working a very low budget. Is this episode needing a capper of? Bing, 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 bing. Oh my God, radiation alert.
I
Are
don't
we in
think so.
danger? Are we in danger? No, 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 no. We're fine. But we were right. An Earth has blown up. Something like that. I don't know. It doesn't need it. And
I don't think it does because I think it adds to the episode that you're not
mm,
certain whether or not that planet does blow up.
they have made the right choice on this year now.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this villain of Carling. Um, Carling for me is sometimes incredibly perfectly villainous and believably evil. And then there's that one moment when he pops up at the window that is
Oh,
laughable.
literally. And no, I don't know what was going on during the creation of that.
That
I
pop
do.
up,
Uh,
yeah, the pop up at the window. Do you not enjoy his first introduction? Oh, keep the light and just
yeah,
subtle.
yeah. It's just I think sometimes it feels a bit much.
Yeah. Well, he's a complete creation by Serling because in the original short story, he's not there. The two families, it says the description here is that the two families simply drive to the launch pad, board the ship, and leave,
Hmm.
which it still works for the twist itself, but also isn't exactly, especially when you look at the excellence that is that card game sequence and the camera thrown under the table and all the brilliant tension
Yeah.
of that sequence. I think Carling works in that sequence. In an interview years later, Fritz Weaver described his experience on the show as a baptism by fire. The actor was unfamiliar with acting in front of cameras, having spent his career in the theatre. During filming, the director had to guide Weaver along with the use of props and appearing more naturalistic in his performance. You I was going to say you can't tell, but it is a somewhat stilted performance. Not in a bad way at all, but because it adds that paranoia, that unease, that discomfort. But it is a slightly stilted performance. I don't know if you feel the same way.
Yeah, but I don't think it detracted
No, no.
from the episode at all. It kind of just felt like part of like it was intentional.
Yeah, no.
Uh, but you telling me that I can see it
Mm.
now.
This isn't a Francois Tone situation where he was brutally bruised. Um, uh, I love that first scene in the house with the bizarre sculptures and the bizarre music that just feels like the future for us, but is obviously on a second watch, this other planet. And just the line to the daughter and him forcing himself to believe it, but not believing it and lying to the daughter. He just wants to tell her, the truth. He can't tell her, pardon me, he can't tell her the truth. People are afraid, Dad. People are afraid because they make themselves afraid. And it feels like politics. It feels like um it feels like something that Carling would say. You know, um, people are afraid because they want to be afraid. They make themselves afraid. There's nothing going on here. 48 hours is it's a lie. That's just a number people have made up. There's nothing's going on here. Everything's fine. Everything's safe. Everybody's fine. Everybody's fine. Stay
Yeah,
safe. Stay
it's
in home.
very believable,
Mm.
uh, especially with his inner conflict.
Do you think there is an element in Carling of um, when it comes to looking at it as a Cuban Missile Crisis allegory, there is an element of Serling distrusting, bloody hell, I'm good at English, not trusting the government at the time when it comes to how they dealt with the Cuban Missile Crisis, and that he felt that perhaps there was something up that was not being revealed to them. Is that how do you feel in any way that way? Or?
I think so, yeah. Especially with a show like this, where a lot of the twists and story beats are taken from ideas such as like extraterrestrials and stuff like that. I think Serling definitely did have that kind of Fox Mulder X view.
I was just gonna say X-Files, Jay.
I've also been rewatching the X-Files this week. So.
Oh, which ones? How early are we talking?
Season 1.
Have you watched Squeeze again yet?
Yeah.
Terrifying.
I watched. I only watched like episode 2 and 3. I just stuck them on whilst I was doing some work. I didn't need to because I've seen it a few times.
Yeah. When X-Files is great, it's good as anything we've ever made as a human race.
Oh yeah, I agree. I think the further I think when I watched it, I got to season 5.
Do I start an X-Files rewatch?
It's good.
It's very good.
No, the last episode I watched was the Bad Boys one. Bad Boys.
Oh, Cops. Yeah. Do you know? You know who wrote that?
Who?
Vince Gilligan.
Oh, I did know that. Yep.
Yeah. Good shit. I was going to say, maybe that's our next project, and then I said no, that's stupid because we all know what our next project is, Jay. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
That's what all this has been building up to, Jay.
Exactly.
The card game plot of these two families in the card game, and coming back from the ad break, and the camera spinning around, and the camera underneath the table, and that paranoia. I realize now that I've missed out on a great scene, which is when Joe Morose and Fritz Weaver are talking, fixing his watch, and he has to put on the loud machinery, and oh, looks good to me. Oh, it's that handle again. What's the problem? What's the problem? And that great paranoia that, I always think of All the President's Men when he comes in, blasts the classical music, and they go to the typewriter. They have bugged us, or whatever they put on that when he types it out. I love paranoid thrillers, Jay. I love a paranoid thriller. I love nothing more. The Firm, again, when he turns up the R&B music and he goes to Gene Triplehorn and he was listening to. I love it. It's my favorite shit.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Then we get to this card game sequence, which is, of course, brilliantly interrupted by Carling. Such great tension, such a great build-up. Unbelievable as well. I think they handle it quite deftly. The writing of the space, the space sheet, or whatever you want to call it, the graph sheet, and because at first you're thinking, oh, that's a cool shot, the camera underneath the card table. Then you realize, oh no, it's complete setup, and that great tension and the building. Never mind Hitchcock's bomb under the table. It's Rod Serling's space graph paper underneath on the mirror table. Great stuff. At this stage, has Carling won you over completely as a villain, or is there still that element of? I mean, I described him in my ranking as with a tongue firmly in his cheek. I do think there is a sort of wry quality to him, a bit of a sort of winking quality. Do you feel that, or in the card sequence, is it relieved?
I think it's still kind of. I mean, he's definitely better. I just, part of me in my head is still going that this episode it needs a conflict, so it is using this character.
Yeah.
But I don't like, I'm not holding it against the episode because I think it still works and makes sense.
Yeah.
If you get what I'm trying to say.
Oh no, yeah. I love the dialogue of Carling talking to Sturka. Oh, I thought you'd be a good gambler. You always know when to gamble. And this is the thing. How much does Carling know? Because he's making out like because that is the other bomb under the table. How much does Carling know? Because it seems to be that he knows everything.
Yeah. Which why does it take until they get to the site for him to?
Yeah, why doesn't he just maybe a little bit more exposition?
Yeah.
That Sturka is their best scientist.
Yeah.
And that Joe Maros is their best pilot. And that little bit more exposition of, no, we need you.
Yeah.
We can't be seen. Maybe a little bit of extra. I mean, I'm just completely rewriting the episode. Bit more exposition about them getting rid of a different scientist and them coming under fire for it. And that sort of thing. One of my favorite moments is, and it could be seen as a little bit melodramatic. It could be seen as a little bit, 50s, housewife. Sturka's wife grabbing the lemonade to put it back in the kitchen and him stopping her.
Oh, that's really good. I like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And I mean, sure, it's done better in the Simpsons movie when Marge cleans that dish whilst going out of the burning house. But yeah, just that thing of I always think of the one I really always think of is Little Bill, William H. Macy in Boogie Nights, when before he kills himself, he locks his car. He gets the gun out of his car, shuts the door, locks his car.
Mm-hmm.
I just that little thing.
This information before I watch Boogie Nights.
Have you never watched Boogie Nights? Oh.
But I get what you mean. It's the doing unnecessary things before. It's just like a lesser show wouldn't do that.
No.
Yeah.
I know we have this conversation almost every single episode of these that we're doing. I just still can't believe how good it is at this. I just can't believe how good it is.
I know, it's crazy. It's fantastic.
Especially on our Blu-rays, where at the end, if you watch past the credits, they still have those. And next up on Leave It to Beaver. And it just is shot so bland, and it's going, oh, Jay. And, and then you skip back to the start of the episode or whatever, or watch it with the commentary, or you watch the next episode and you go, are you for real? The level of cinematography and the level of camera work. And the writing. I mean, again, these were episodes that they thought were going to be watched once, maybe twice, and then never seen again.
Yep. It's so impressive.
The budget, I think, obviously does show in this ending. Slightly rushed. Sorry, not just yet. The ending with Carling at the Grates. I think Carling's at his most menacing. And breathe through your nose. Such a weird line. But terrifying. Then once you've knocked out Carling, it does become a little bit rushed. We have the Forbidden Planet stock footage that they've used a few times throughout the show, and then we're in the sky. A little bit rushed. However, we're now in the pod, and we begin this conversation of, tell me about this place. Well, they've got people like us. If we our research, it's the third planet from the sun. It's a place called Earth.
They speak English.
They're speaking. Yeah, we understand some of the things they're saying. They're having a real trouble with a place called Cuba. It won't affect us.
It kind of reminds us of Space Cuba.
Yeah. It's a little bit like the issues we're having with Scuba.
Yeah.
They keep talking. Oh, I'm so glad I'm so glad, Stoker, that we're away from the Spastro guy. Closing narration. Behind a tiny ship heading into space is a doomed planet on the verge of suicide. Ahead lies a place called Earth, the third planet from the sun. And for William Stoker and the men and women with him, it's the eve of the beginning in the Twilight Zone. Lovely pairing, lovely bookending. We close the opening narration with it's the eve of the end, and then we close the closing narration with it's the eve of the beginning. Very simple writing, but just beautiful work.
Yeah.
We then go to the next episode ad advertisement, which is for I Shot an Arrow into the Air, which I find incredibly curious because I Shot an Arrow into the Air is more or less the exact same twist.
Is it?
It's the one where the spaceship crashes and they all end up killing themselves one by one because they've landed in the middle of the desert and they think they're on an uninhabitable. I didn't say that word right. Anyway, they think they're on a desert planet, and then they all go mad, and then he eventually makes it over the hill, and it's Nevada. So I just don't know. I mean, maybe it was out of Serling's control, but like episode placement wise, I've always found it rather curious. There's
also the fact that this is third from the sun, and the episode before it is the four of us are dying.
Yeah, it should be called.
So you have the two number episodes back to back.
I shot 2 arrows into the air. It should have kept, it should have kept going.
A single. Wait. Oh God, a single hitchhiker. There you go.
Yeah. Okay, let's rank third from the sun. I don't think it's in the top 10. I don't think it's cracking the top 10. As a matter of fact, I think it may be our new 13. I think Where Is Everybody's better, and I think People Are Alike All Over is better. And I think that this is probably better than Long Live Walter Jameson. What do you think?
Remind me of what happens in Long Live Walter Jameson.
Long Live Walter Jameson is the history teacher who is actually immortal. And then his old mistress comes and shoots him and he becomes dust.
Oh yeah. I'd say above that.
Yeah, above that. And then Where Is Everybody? The ending for Where Is Everybody always terrifies me. So I would like it at 13. So I think we'll go third from the sun is our new 13. Coolio. Rest in peace. 15. In praise. Been spending most our lives living in a gangster's paradise. 15 in praise of Pip. 14 Long Live Walter Jameson. 13 Third from the Sun. 12 Where Is Everybody? 11 People Are Alike All Over, and no changes in the top 10. Perchance to Dream, The Silence, Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, The Masks, The Long Morrow, Time Enough at Last, Will the Real Martian Please Stand Up? On Thursday we leave for home. It's a Good Life and Walking Distance. Jay, any final thoughts on Third from the Sun?
Nope.
No, next up, absolute classic episode. Probably going to crack our top 5. The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street. A classic episode, often referred to as one of the best. Let's see if it's one of our best. Well, not one of our best. Indeed. Jay, thank you very, very much, and I will see you soon.
See ya.